Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Monday, May 12th Public Works Finance Committee meeting of the Moscow City Council. I'm Walter Steed, chairman of this committee and president of the Moscow City Council. To my right, Dan Carscallon, council member. To my left, Art Betke, council member. And to his left, Gary Wiedner, the city supervisor. The first item of business would be the approval of the April 28 minutes, and I was not in attendance. So, gentlemen, what are your wishes?
Look good to me.
They work for me as well.
They are considered approved, Gary.
Thank you.
Item number 2, Finance Director Don Palmer with a disbursement report for April 2014.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Here to discuss the Treasurer's Report and Disbursements Report for April 2014. And we've expended $2,123,843.68, of which the following categories represents 93% of that. Payroll, $884,500. The sewer bonds were due last month, and that mostly interest, $437,300. Sanitation was $238,200. Equipment, $87,000. Professional services, $84,650. Utilities, $84,100. Supplies, $88,300. Construction, $35,300. Insurance, $14,000. Grants, $14,000, for a total of $1,967,350 of those categories, which represents the 93%. If you have any questions, we can go through some of those lines.
So the odd item that caused the total to be greater than we're used to seeing was the sewer bond payment.
Yeah, most of it.
Did we buy us a couple rigs?
I believe what the equipment is we bought some laptops.
I see
got the shipment in Fleet itself.
Yeah, $74,000 in Fleet.
I don't think we have got that $74,000 yet.
Oh, those receipts. Okay, I'm on the wrong page.
Yeah.
No? Where are you?
I'm on a receipts report, not the expense report.
Oh, okay.
So we sold a couple.
We did. Traded some in, but they're in the process of getting some vehicles.
Dan knew there was some equipment, some trucks or cars moving around out there somewhere. He just didn't know which way they were going.
So anyway, yeah, the equipment we bought was a paint mixer. Laptops were $19,000. He gets a big shipment of those in. There was a forestry truck. $59,900. Do you know that?
That's the bucket truck.
Oh.
Used bucket truck.
Okay. So we did buy that bucket truck, and then the McCain's light turn sign down. I think that's one for one over here was $3,900.
Main and third.
Yep.
Needed it.
Is it working? I mean, I know it works, but does it work?
I haven't surveyed it myself, sir. But
It's an eye catcher.
It switches on.
I would presume that the errant motorist that attempts to tell the police officer, I didn't see it, might be driven down to the optometrist.
It would be tough. You definitely can see it.
And then also of interest, the construction, $35,000 was related to the Moscow School District ball fields, just so you know.
Okay, you have something. Do we need to sign anything this time around?
Yep, you do. Sign this, please. Give me a pen. You go.
Or Gary's. Anything else on that topic, Don?
Nope.
Okay, gentlemen, if it's okay, Don has a need to get out of here when he can, and item 6 is also a Don Palmer item, so with y'all's approval, we will ask him to move right on into item 6.
Okey-dokey. Works
I
for
think
me.
we can let him.
Thank you. As you know, the judicial confirmation was approved last month, and it was for $4.3 million, of which we have a DEQ loan in the amount of $2.7. In order for us to proceed on with certain expenses before we actually receive the money, we need to be reimbursed for eligible expenses. In order to do that, we need to pass a resolution. Before you is that resolution. We've had it reviewed by legal and also by outside attorney, and so between our city attorney and outside attorney, we have the attached resolution. The resolution is for that reimbursement, so that all $4.3 million is reimbursable, so that Les can get started both on well number 10, design work, as well as the design for the 6 different lift stations. And so I don't anticipate that he'll get all those done, but prior to us receiving these bonds, but will get started on some of those. So this is the anticipation of that. So
we will not borrow interim funds to anticipate the eventual sale of the bonds. We will front the money out of cash, or?
Well, the design work and the eligible expenses are related to specifically will be paid from the city's coffers on the first portion of that, but it will be just the design work. The way the DEQ loan works is it's reimbursed as we expense those, and so we need that reimbursement resolution in place. What we don't have funding fixed yet for is the $1.6 million in the non-DEQ loan, I should say, the remaining 6 booster stations, which we are in the process of securing at this point. So I guess to answer your question is the DEQ loan will get, as soon as those are approved, that, I don't know where we're at in that stage. I'll have to ask Les behind me. Is he behind me?
No.
Okay.
Remarkably, no.
So anyway, but the way that loan works is reimbursed as we pay those. So,
Gary, you look like you would like to elaborate.
Well, I'm not, we haven't done a DEQ loan since the first wastewater treatment plant renovation. So I'm not certain if we're using the same vernacular, whether it's a reimbursement or whether it is a draw. However,
they're the same,
okay.
The way I'm
So
stating.
either way, we have to either incur the expenses or show we're going to incur them. What this does is it allows us, we have expenses already incurred.
In my experience, you have to be invoiced.
Yes.
You don't have to pay the invoice, and then you can draw against the DEQ loan. I see a couple of engineers in the audience that may or may not know, but I don't see any head noddings telling me anything. So, but that's the way I think it happens.
Yeah. So this not only covers that eventuality, but also we have expenses that we've already expended in this case.
Well, we can't, those wouldn't be reimbursable until this is approved. So
Yes, until
he has not
approve this.
had any design work at this point
Okay.
for the $1.6 million. It's $1,595,000 to be exact, but of the loans that we still need to seek funding for. The advice I've gotten from everybody is if we can get a DEQ loan for that as well, that'd be the best path to go down. So we need to seek that out. But
Yes, if I may as well. The original draft of this resolution came from Danielle Quaid, who was our attorney on the judicial confirmation. So it's a standard operating procedure while we're awaiting the appeal time to run out on the judicial confirmation as well.
Rod Hall, City Attorney.
And this might help clarify, too, under the federal code for the internal revenue, if you're going to use proceeds from a bond, you can't reimburse yourself unless you stated an intent in advance that you were going to do that. So you basically, in IRS guidelines.
And that's what we're doing with this resolution.
That's what we're doing with that, is showing what your intent is, that you intend to use the bond proceeds and to reimburse yourself.
Okay.
thank you.
Why didn't you say that, Don?
You asked him what time it was, didn't you?
Any questions, guys?
It sounds like a good idea to get a head start on
I'm all for
things.
paying ourselves back.
Yep.
Okay. All right, anything else on that?
That's it.
Okay, we will move that to consent.
Yes, sir.
Can it be on consent with the resolution?
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Don. Okay, Moving back to item number 3, the East City Park Playground Design Approval and Equipment Purchase. And the question right off the bat, Mr. Grundon, can we talk about items 3 and 4 together, or do we need to keep them separate? Or is there anything extraordinary about either that would require that we handle them one at a time?
They are very, very similar in nature.
Gary?
You may do them both as a blanket if you so wish. Combine them.
Let's do that unless somebody says, wait a minute, I want that one spun off.
They're so similar
They're
that
very similar.
they're tied together.
So 3 and 4.
So before you is a proposal for new playground equipment, the design approval and delivery of materials for both East City Park and Rotary Park. And those two playgrounds both have equipment that's dated, worn out, heavily used, and is about 15 years old. We followed the typical city process for this, whereas we surveyed the 1,500 feet of each park location, put together our mailing lists, and sent out mailers.
Surveyed the residents.
That's correct. And then tabulated the surveys for both, and typically what the top 3 are: a slide, a climbing component, that type of thing. So those requests are put into the request for proposals. So then in March, we put out an RFP, published in local media, and a solicitation was sent to different playground designs throughout the Pacific Northwest. We had 4 firms submitting 8 different designs. One was deemed non-responsive. So then we had 3 firms submitting 3 proposals for each park. I made one typo in this that says 6, but it's 3 and 3, total of 6 different designs. Following that, and
Same 3 firms in each park for each park?
that's correct, yes, sir. Following that, we then placed the 3 displays, we went to the Park and Rec Commission next, and they approved 3 submittals, because that's all we received, for each park, to be put on public display and set up for public voting as to the favorite. With assistance from the good staff at the HERC, proposals were put out for about 3 weeks, the different designs, and we had a voting box for each playground. And after the voting was closed, we then tabulated and came up with a number 1, number 2, and number 3 suggestion from the public, and forwarded that to the Park and Recreation Commission at their following meeting. As such, they then approved the public vote as well for a number 1 design for each park. So those designs and pictures were included in your packet, and the one for East City Playground was won by Play Creation of Burien, Washington, manufactured by Landscape Structures in the amount of $29,972.53. And the second one for Rotary Park was received from Buell Recreation in the amount of $35,379. Your approval today would allow me to order the play equipment, get it delivered here, and then we'll be following up with installation requests to contractors in the very near future. So I will then be back with a contract proposal for 3 installations this summer: Ottness Park, Rotary, and East City, by one contractor, in order to save some funds for the city instead of doing 3 separate installations.
Tom, one question I have in your process. You surveyed the neighbors in each case.
Correct.
You got their druthers in terms of 1, 2, and 3. Then you went to the public at the HERC. Did the public vote change what the neighbors wanted, or did they end up so that you were protected in the way you did it?
As a means of clarification, when we survey the neighborhood residents, that's only for play components and colors.
Like swings.
What are your top 3
I
components?
need a swing and a slide and a climbing rope.
Okay.
We give them maybe 8 options, and then the residents who are notified make that decision. And we also put it in the newspaper that if you're interested in helping the neighbors, you're welcome to do that, and we get a handful. So then we go out to the RFPs, and then that comes back as a
Get the actual
playground design.
proposal.
Correct.
Which all included the
At least
elements.
with the
Exactly.
top neighbor.
Okay.
And then it's opened up citywide for anybody to come in and vote.
So we're not exposed to a selection of a design that the neighbors are going to say, where did that come from? We never even
No,
thought about it.
in my
Okay.
opinion, not at
Hope
all.
we've done that, done it correctly.
We have.
Okay, good. Dan?
Yeah, I got one of the letters, but,
Did you vote?
no, I was okay with whatever shows up. As long as it's a slide, I'm good.
You didn't want a top swing?
No, I don't fit in them anymore.
So does 4 3/4-year-old Henry get his dark green and light red?
Yes.
Oh, well, Henry will be delighted. Excellent. He was one of the comments, and
That's right.
Okay. I think we're good for a consent agenda on both.
yes.
Thank you very
If you
much.
wish to put them separately or together, it'd be your choice, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, the next item on the agenda will be number 5, professional services agreement for design and construction management for the City of Moscow Sanitary Sewer Trunk Line Phase 4 project by Mr. Kevin Love.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This project is one of our top priorities from our sanitary comp plan. You probably recall last year we did the Phase 3, ran from the wastewater treatment plant to Stadium Drive through the campus, and this is a continuation of that. We had a segment that was built a few years ago in between the two. This one,
Next to the rec center?
yes, along that stretch. This will pick up on the east end of that, near Line and 3rd Street, and run to College. During the College Street project a couple years ago, we extended the line. There's a dry 30-inch line that runs down the eastern part of the western part of East Highway 8. Runs from near Gritman or at College to about Adams. That's been dry. I wasn't here when that was put in, so it's been a while. Yeah, maybe with the south couplet, was that added to that job?
Oh, I can't remember. Yes, Les has given us the nod.
Head on the back row saying yes.
So that line is waiting to be put into use, and this will connect to it and allow us to divert flow from the east on the Troy Highway into this new, or the existing 30-inch. And we also will open a connection on South Main that will, right now it diverts down Sweet Avenue and kind of zigzags through the campus. We will divert that to the south couplet where it'll tie into this 30-inch also.
And this 30-inch that was built years ago is just sitting there waiting to be used. It's not one of these engineered and constructed projects that I've seen in the past that now that we're ready to use it, it doesn't fit the picture or something.
We believe it's there.
I don't doubt that it's there.
I'm sure it was TV'd once it was installed before it was accepted by the city.
Is
It
it
was
usable
only
now?
about 12 years ago, too.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of a particular interstate overpass bridge that was built when funds were available, and when they finally got around to building the highway up to it, it no longer met specs, and it had to be torn down. We're not there with this, are we?
No.
Okay, good.
Okay. So we did an RFQ process. JUB was selected from I believe about 7 engineering firms that submitted, and we have since put together this contract or agreement with them for the design and the inspection of the project. So that's what I would hope that you would approve today.
Gentlemen?
So when's the timeline to kick this thing off?
As soon as we get the agreement executed, they'll be given a notice to proceed and start the design. We expect the design to be done sometime roughly December and bid in January, late January, early February next year.
So construction next summer.
Yes.
And as part of the design, does this include restoration of what was on the surface now? It's going to get chopped up?
Certainly. We're going to go, we actually have 2 options that we're going to look at when they do the topographic survey. One will go through Gormley Park. One would go on the other side of what was the railroad through 6th Street. And so the restoration will be critical through Gormley Park. We want to,
And especially the softball fields, it looks like it tracks right over first base on one of the
Yeah,
fields.
the existing line comes pretty close to the first base line. We're going to do what we can to avoid that. We are also going to require that the construction be done in the summer rather than when the U of I and Gormley, or I'm sorry, West Park is in session, so
But it will disrupt summertime use of Gormley? fields?
possibly
We'll try to
try to-
minimize it
yes.
as much as we can.
we will.
As long as it gets put back.
It will be. We actually, if you look at Wicks Field, the very good job was done
Yes, that was a
restoring
great
that.
job.
And the funding for the engineering contract is in the budget?
Yes, it's, I don't have the line item with me.
Out of the sewer
Back
fund.
of the CCSR.
I was trying to find a page in this thing. And funding for the construction part?
We have that in hand also.
It's in the sewer capital plan.
Okay.
Sweet. Sounds like the bases are covered.
Let's get her done.
Consent?
Sir?
Thank you, sir. Okay, having handled item 6 already, we're down to reports. Les McDonald on the Indian Hills 6th edition pedestrian easement vacation hearing date.
Yes. Good
I thought Don
afternoon.
needed to leave early.
Yeah, he was in a hurry, wasn't he?
Thank you for taking him out of order, Mr. Chairman.
If Gary would let you leave before 5, I would too, Don, but I don't know, it's up to your boss.
I might need to write to my boss.
Good afternoon. Recently, the City Council considered an item related to Indian Hills Number 6, which involved a modification in the public park area and an enlargement of that public park. And as part of that proposal, as approved by the City Council, there was a request that the city consider vacation of 2 easements that are for utility and pedestrian use that pass through from what was the original park location to the north to Alpone Court, and then on north from there to Alturas Drive. And so as part of the follow-up to that proposal and consideration by the council at that last meeting is the need to go through a vacation process for those 2 pedestrian easements, we'll call them.
And the reason for the vacation change in thinking about the need for the easements was enlarging the park, made it closer to people that would be using it, or?
Yeah, the original configuration of the park had frontage on Indian Hills Drive to the south, but no access east, west, or north through private lots. So in the original Indian Hills plat, there was seen a need to provide that access to the north and accessibility, and it was done via easements to Alpone and then on to Alturas. In the revised configuration of the park, there would be, in essence, 2 lots worth of land to the west added to the park space. That then gives the park frontage on Blaine. With that in mind, there is now access...
And moves the northwest corner of the park linearly closer to the people to the north and to the west.
Generally speaking, but the route is easier to achieve because you have actually frontage from the park right onto Blaine and the Blaine sidewalk, which then allows you to go north on Blaine and turn off wherever you choose to turn off.
And as I recall, the travel distance from a pedestrian is not significantly longer
Precisely.
with this new configuration versus the old.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, in follow-up to that action by the City Council, we are scheduling a public hearing for a vacation process and consideration, testimony and consideration by the council for vacation of those 2 easements on June 2nd. So today, we just wanted to let you know that that was the date that has been anticipated. We'll be sending out the public notices to all those properties within the notice distance of the easements, posting on the site, and advertisement in the local paper as is normally done for vacation processes.
And that is the earliest date the process can occur, or?
You have to give public notice
Right.
within,
Okay.
I think, 15 days, 14
There
days.
there is a requirement under vacations for for publication in 2 consecutive weeks, with the second one being no closer than 7 days prior to the actual hearing. So that essentially gives us about a 2-week window we have to make. And with advertisement this Saturday, we just make that for the June 2nd meeting.
Yes, sir, you had something else?
Les, when we send out that notice, will we also be explaining that it's due to the reconfiguration of the park, so that people understand that it's all part of the same deal?
Right, yes, yes.
We didn't just decide to vacate them.
Right, yeah, there is a reason for considering a vacation in this case, yes.
Yes, sir.
Are they still going to be a utility easement?
Well, there are no utilities planned within those easements at this point. They were originally dedicated as utility easements. I think there was some consideration that there may be some utility needs within the park, something of that nature. At this point, I'll double-check with the Parks Department, but it's most likely that we could provide that service off of Blaine, since there would be frontage to that location.
As I recall, with planning and zoning, part of the reason for the utility easement was a prior configuration of that whole area where there were going to be some internal lots there that needed to have utility easements to the north. As part of one configuration, then those 2 lots went away. They turned into a park, but the utility easement / pedestrian easement maintained. And now with the reconfiguration of the park, there's no reason anymore for either of those 2 events to continue to reside on the ground.
That was one of the interim configurations in the consideration of what to do with the park. There was some thought of
And
making,
that's why
moving
the
the park elsewhere.
utility and everything else. And
Yeah, that was part of it. But yeah, we will confirm any utility issues
it was a
prior
big
to the
row of
public hearing.
dominoes that toppled
Yes.
with each iteration.
Yeah, it's changed course a few times along the way.
Anything else?
Sure, for me.
We are adjourned.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Les.
Sweet. Don Palmer gets to make it to the car dealer in time.
Yeah, I wonder if he needs a ride.